Well, welcome back. I'm back at the Jay Leno portrait. Once again, I've taken the liberty of taking this back to the Billabong, the studio, and started putting a bit more colour on his face and moved the portrait along a little bit further. As you might have seen in the previous footage, I can work pretty fast when I need to, and I'm going to come back in here and start doing a little bit of work on his chin, his famous chin. I mean, this is what he got his name. Yeah, everyone knows this chin. So it's apparently it's a condition called mandibular prognathism. I mean, hard to pronounce, but it's actually a condition, believe it or not. I guess over here they find a condition for everything, but apparently it was an option for him to go and get it fixed, believe it or not. But it required resetting his jaw and having his jaw wide shut for a prolonged period of time, and I just couldn't imagine Jay having his mouth closed shut for that length of time. So anyway, it worked out good for him in the long run because it became his sort of signature trademark. And I'm coming in here for a little bit of, like I said, these transition areas are sort of tough. Once again, blending and just trying to, there we go, a little bit of light in his face there. The same sort of mix of colours. There's a lot of skin tones in general are fairly similar. It's just the way you mix them. I'm using a burnt sienna, alizarin crimson. Of course, I'm using a white to lighten it down, also Naples yellow, and sometimes a little bit of highlight of a King's blue in there as well. So it's a little bit of, really only about 3 or 4 colours I'm using to work this area. And here's a little bit of a shadow to sort of, basically all is the painting is contrast. You're coming in, you're putting light areas against dark areas to highlight your, like in here he's got some wrinkles. Of course there's a light side in here where the wrinkles pick up a little bit of the light, and you know, you put a little bit of a dark area underneath and it brings a wrinkle out a little bit more. I once did a painting of Keith Richards and it was an absolute nightmare trying to do all of the wrinkles because I mean the guy's virtually a road map of wrinkles, so it was a nightmare. It's a little bit dark. I'm going to come back in here and lighten this up a little bit. It's just a little bit too heavy there. Plus I need a little bit more red. He's got sort of a reddish glow in his cheeks there. There we go. And I'll take the dark colour out further than what I need it, because I'm going to come back in and put my highlight light colour down the side here where the light's hitting his face. It tends to be a tough area to, there we go, that's better. And then sort of blend that back into that light area so it doesn't look too harsh, you know. But apparently with Jay's car collection, they actually brought out Mattel brought out a collection of cars to match Jay Leno's collection, apparently, which is, you know, pretty awesome, because he's apparently got such a huge car collection and some really, you know, nice collectible cars. He likes a lot of the old stuff that you have to, you know, take great difficulty in driving. I think he's got a steam engine. He's got a lot of old motorcycles as well. And there we go. Get into this chin a little bit more. There we go. But yeah, you can see it's starting to take shape there. And this light comes back into his cheek here, sort of hooks around a corner, sort of defines that little bit of cheek area. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now we'll start to get into his underneath his chin here. There we go. A little bit of light down there. But funny story about Jay Leno was when he was first starting out, he did a lot of the stuff at the Improv, and he also worked for a car yard where he would deliver exotic motor cars. And apparently he was delivering a Jaguar to a place, and the guy paid him in cash, $29,000 in cash in a brown paper bag. So at the time he was driving back, he had to pick up another car in the area to take back, and he drove past the Improv on the way back and said, hey, I might go do a quick stand-up here. So he called in, took his paper bag of money in and sort of pretended it was his lunch, and placed the bag on the counter. Did his act went over really well, got such a rousing reception. But then he took off and forgot the bag of money. So it wasn't until he reached a toll booth on the road that he realised his money was gone. So raced back to the club at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and there it was, the bag was still there with the money in it. So quite a lucky break there. Now I'm coming in here, I'm putting the light areas on his nose. These are going to be a little bit roughed in because, like I said, I'm going to come back in later and fix all these little highlights and nuances up. But actually, you see it's starting to come out pretty good. And even in here, his top of his lip's a light area. The light picks up on the top of his lip. So he definitely worked his way through the ranks to get to where he was. He used to do a lot of warm-ups for guys like Johnny Mathis, Tom Jones, and still to this day he does like 150 stand-ups a year. So he's a hard-working bloke. Now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to try and attempt his mouth with a larger brush, which might be a bad mistake, but that's what art's all about. It's about happy mistakes. There we go, we're going to... He's got a very tight sort of, you know, he definitely doesn't have much in the way of lips. I guess he makes up for it in the jaw department. So, but it's not too bad. Like I said, you can always refine it later. I try not to go in for the kill too early because you drive yourself nuts. I mean, if I sit there and try to do every area in detail at once at the time, I'd probably be already on my 3rd bottle of scotch by now.